Hello, Scribblers. I'm Katie, the founder and CEO of the Scribblers Den, your online source for writing craft courses and writing community. We're back with another amazing indie author, D.W. Brooks. D.W. is a romance author with several books out in the wild, including I Do Chaos, Homecoming Chaos, and Dating Chaos. And you're going to have to tell me if I have those in the right order or not in a second.
You
Um,
did. You
and
did.
her next novel, Late Match, is a second chance romance, and that'll be out on June 23rd. When she's not writing, DW is dedicated to her family, sporadically cooking, and an avid reader. So, DW, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited.
So, did I get him in the right order? Or, like,
Yes, you did.
oh, sweet. I was really nervous that maybe I didn't. I was
You
I was
did.
doing a little bit of guesswork, and I'm like, this seems like it would make sense.
Yes, that is the right order.
Excellent. Yeah. So the Scribblers, that is the order that you should read them in. You don't have to read them in any order you want, but if you want to do that, read it in
Follow.
order.
Yes.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started, right? On your website, you mentioned that being an author has been a lifelong dream for you. Can you just share a little bit of what young DW envisioned and how adult DW has delivered on those expectations? Like, is it fulfilling all of your dreams and hopes?
Yeah, it actually is, but it's shaped a little differently than it was
Yeah.
when I was 8. When I was, I'm a big reader. I read lots of Nancy Drew, Trixie Belden. I started reading Agatha Christie fairly early, Perry Mason, Sherlock
Mhm.
Holmes. But at that point, because I'm old, at that point, there weren't a whole lot of African American characters that were easy to come by. So my cousins and I decided that we were going to write our own kitty mysteries with um, people of color in them. Now, so we had a great idea, lots of big plans, but not really a lot of instruction goal. I mean, we did do some things that were probably ahead of our time. So we actually created basically what was a story Bible, or a character Bible, I should
Wow.
say, where we actually, had pictures, or one of my cousins is an artist. So we had pictures of what
Mhm.
each character that we had created would look like. We went through and wrote down who each person was friends with, who they didn't like, just kind of mapped out. And we also mapped out the neighborhood, who lived near each other, who
Oh,
didn't,
wow.
how long they would take. Yes, I mean, we had some good ideas, but when it came to actually writing it, like plotting out a story, we'd have a first chapter that was full of, smart comebacks and whatever, and then nothing. Because
That
we,
sounds about right, though, for like that age range. Like you have all the
yeah,
ideas, but the follow through just isn't
yeah.
quite there.
Yeah, so we had a whole, and my parents worked, both of them were in computers.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you remember the dot matrix paper
Yes.
that had,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So I had tons of that at my house. So we would fold it in half and staple it so it would look like a book.
Yep.
And so we'd write in it. So it looked like we had a little library of books, but they all had one or two chapters and then some pictures in them because my cousin would draw pictures.
Yeah.
And then we had nothing. So, as 8 year olds, at some point it was like, well, all right, I'd rather go outside and play. So
Right.
we kind of
Other things were
moved on.
calling your name.
Yeah, so we moved on. I put all that stuff in my parents' attic, and at some point it vanished into the ether. My mom she swore she didn't throw it away. She says that the squirrels ate it. That was literally a comment from her that maybe the squirrels got it. And I was just like, ah.
I think you need to
So
investigate the squirrels.
yeah, unfortunately, we sold that house now, but I kind of gave her the evil eye because I'm pretty sure she threw them out, which
Oh.
I can understand because it was just a bunch of boxes up in the attic. So, all right, so that was that plan. And then I went on to medical school and on, and really didn't revisit that
Mhm.
until I'm started having problems with a genetic kidney problem. And um, they kind of, I wasn't on dialysis yet, but I really didn't have energy to do much of anything. And I said, well, since I'm going to sit in the bed most of the day, I have a laptop. Maybe I should, you know, think about writing because I mean, I wasn't going to go out and do much. I kind of had to save my energy to do one
Mhm.
good thing every day. So I just started uh, writing. And um, my main character from the Chaos universe is kind of, I mean, she was kind of based on some of my experiences because
Okay.
as a practicing, I was a practicing physician, and then I went to get my MBA, and then I went off to work for WebMD. And my parents at the time really didn't understand why I wasn't practicing anymore. So, once you did all that work to get there, now you're like,
Right.
"Nah, I don't really want to do this." So I wanted to have her, I wanted to write a story actually about that. And then I decided to just kind of make a version of that be her backstory that, she went did her residency and, and isn't practicing. I changed the reason why she wasn't.
Hmm.
I mean, I changed reasons, but that's where the original idea came from. And then I decided to throw a good looking detective in there and
You
on and
never go
on.
wrong
So
with a good looking detective. So,
yeah, so that's where that started. So it's obviously different than what I thought I was going to do at
mhm.
age 8, but I am really enjoying it. I keep thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I am actually about to publish my fourth book.
Yeah,
What is this? What is this world?
that
So
is incredible. So in the end though, like young 8-year-old DW would just be like amazed. Like they would be like standing
yeah.
there waiting for your autograph and just like jumping up and down.
Yeah, no, I just think about that saying I can't. I mean, I would love to be able to go back and tell myself at age 8, don't worry about it, it'll come back. Now, I do
Yeah,
wish that I had continued to write because I see, I mean, the whole landscape was different. You back when
so
I
different.
back in the day, you had to have somebody query. You had to query. You had to get somebody to represent you, to publish you, et cetera, and so on. Um, and now you can do it without that. And because I think that it would have been cool if I had continued to write. I mean, I see other doctors out there writing books and stuff.
Yeah.
That just wasn't something that was talked about as much
Mm-mm.
back when I was in the middle of it. So it's fine. We got through it, but it's just different.
No, and that's interesting that like you kind of had that break in the middle. I feel like there's a lot more authors who have breaks than authors who don't. Because I know for me, I was an avid writer all through like middle school, high school, through college. And then all of a
Hmm.
sudden I graduated from college and I'm like, I am so overwhelmed by just adulting. And it was almost 10 years that I didn't write a single thing. And then
Hmm.
just all of a sudden I picked it back up again, like, oh my gosh, maybe like 2015 or 2016. And I've been
Hmm.
writing again since then. But that 10-year
Yeah.
break, I couldn't access any creativity because being an adult was just like overwhelming.
Yeah. And when I left practice, I worked at WebMD for a while, and then I went to work for a medical education company, and then
Mhm.
I went freelance. And I did write, but I was writing needs assessments and
Yeah,
articles and
technical
things like
writing.
that. Yeah. So I wasn't, there was not a whole lot of, creativity. I mean, there's,
Mhm.
following pretty much a recipe to write the
Yeah. And
technical
it's that
stuff. But
creativity that really feeds the soul in the end.
mhm.
So I'm so glad that you came back to it. Like I love this for you. I'm happy. So we already kind of touched on this just a little bit, but the choice between self-publication versus traditional publication, where you get that agent, is very personal for everyone. So, like, what ultimately led you to choosing that self-publication route, and how have you embraced it?
Really my age. I looked at it and said, I don't really have quite as much runway in front of me to spend a lot of time querying
Mhm.
because, I wanted, and also because there was the option to actually get my books out there and not necessarily have to wait for someone to say, yeah, we like your book. I mean, you
Yeah.
hope that someone will say that at some point, well, by buying it or reading it or whatever. But when I started, I mean, when I came back to it, I was in my mid 40s.
Mhm.
So I said, I don't really think I have the time of the runway. And I could have been surprised. Maybe somebody would have walked up and picked me up like immediately, but I didn't
Yeah.
really
You just
think I
never
had the
know.
time. Yeah. I didn't really think I had the time for that. So since there was an option to self-publish, I said, all right. And second thing, my husband already published his biography from
Mhm.
about being adopted. So he did that back in 2007, 2008, something like that.
Okay, so like you kind of
And
had that to help you figure out your process as you went along.
yeah, and that landscape even in 2007 was totally different than it is now
Yeah.
because Amazon didn't have KDP. There you really had to you had there were companies that you could, contract with and they would publish for you.
Hmm.
And then you would still be on Amazon, but you would have to send it was
Yeah.
just all kind of extra steps and things like that.
Yeah, I
So
do
you
feel
can
like
still get people from Amazon.
yeah, Amazon has like really kind of revolutionized like the availability of finding indie authors like yourself. Um
Hmm.
and and just getting your books out there because traditional publishing does kind of unfortunately have a very narrow purview of what they will
Yeah,
pick up and what they
right.
will put out on the shelves. And it always disappoints me because I'm like, here we have like all these other talented authors that deserve that backing. And I love that like you guys are able to just take that into your own hands now and be like, no, this is my work and I did it, and you don't get a piece of my pie. I get all my pie. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the Amazon has its own issues,
yeah.
but yeah, it's and it does feel like lately, I mean, every time I go on Threads, there's yet another entrant of somebody saying, "Hey, I'm either they're opening up a new author services. I only do
Mhm.
indie authors, and I want to help you get your stuff out there at reasonable prices because I know that indie
Yeah.
authors mostly don't make tons of money, and um, or people saying we're just doing this for free. We like,
Hmm.
we're just going to post it. We'll post all your stuff on our website or on our social media. So, and I've run across a couple of those that over the past 2 weeks, that was like, just put your info. If you're releasing something in June, let us know. We'll just put up a post.
Right.
So,
Yeah, there's
like,
been I feel
okay.
like there's a good amount of support within the author community, just in general.
Hmm.
Like because we all want each other to succeed, and we really do
Yeah.
realize that it's not a competition so much as like I lift you up, you lift me up, and then we all have good books to read. So
Yeah. Yeah. And are able to continue to create books because,
yeah,
if you don't sell any or any at all, you might not be able to write that next one,
yeah.
especially since, there are other components besides just writing. I mean, you need to have some type of editing. Even if you barter it
Hmm.
out with somebody else needs to look at your book.
Yes.
And it can't just be you. And a cover, even if it's just a pre-made, doesn't matter. You need to
Hmm.
have an attractive cover. And
Yeah, I
somebody else
really
probably
love your
should keep.
covers, by the way. Your covers are
Thank
like
you.
they look
Uh,
they pull me in.
they
Um,
are all from the same company right now.
yeah.
And can I give them a shout out? 100covers.com.
Okay. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
like romance isn't my main genre that I read in. I'll pick up a romance like maybe twice a year, just like as a it's a quick read for me. I enjoy them, but it's just like I want really dark fantasy stories. Like that's where my heart lives. So like please give me like the blood and the gore and the magic. But like they pull me in and I'm like, oh, I think I need to like I'm gonna have to get one of these. So you're on my list of like books to pick up.
Yeah, this latest cover is different for me because I tend not to do illustrated covers
Hmm.
because since the Chaos universe is more romantic suspense kind of, or I like to describe it as a romance in pieces.
Yeah,
So like a romance in
that is
chapters. So
beautiful. Yeah.
each book covers a specific part of you know Jamie and and Nick the detective's
Hmm.
romance, but it also has another point. Like there's a mystery, or it's a party, or I got to start writing book four, which I had started writing it, and I just felt like something was missing. So then I went back to late match and
Yeah.
finished that. Now I have to go back to it's called model chaos, but
Okay.
but I gotta go back and I figured out what it was that was missing for me in the story.
Hmm.
So I gotta go back and restructure what I wrote.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
so I'm gonna do that this summer. Also, late match is going to be part of a series. So
Okay.
of 40 plus people looking for their happily ever after.
Ooh, that's hi. I should read that. As a proud 45-year-old, I am I'm still there. I'm still in that phase.
I understand. I understand.
All right. So you've had to balance a lot of your writing with all the curveballs that life throws at you. So, including you had to get a kidney transplant at one point. How do you keep all your plates spinning and find ways to honor your career as a writer while also taking care of yourself and all the general chaos that just comes with being an adult?
Well, I'm not sure they're all spinning. They may not be spinning. I think they are, and I look at it and say, oh, that's not I'm not proceeding on that particular goal. I need to go back and revisit. Yeah, it's the kidney transplant, that was hard. Some people have suggested that I should actually write a book about that. I don't know if I can actually I don't know if I can actually do that. But it as a physician, it was
Hmm.
kind of hard to actually stare at your own mortality like that.
Yeah,
I
no, that is
mean,
so rough.
yeah, I mean, I expected to get a kidney. It wasn't like I was thinking, well, gosh, I'm not going to get a kidney and things are going to
Hmm.
go. I expected to get a kidney, but the process to getting there was challenging. I mean, they basically told me that it could take 7 years, and my husband was like, no, 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 we can't do this for 7 years. So, we went to Facebook and actually found a donor off Facebook. So, and that was like the last time Facebook was totally useful.
Yeah, Facebook is its own that's a whole nother video. We
Yeah,
don't have
yeah,
time for
it's
that.
a beast. Yeah, it's a beast over there. But
Yeah.
so, it changed my, I guess, my philosophy on
Hmm.
how I was going to do things, and making sure that I tried to do more things that I wanted to do, because at any point things could go
Yeah.
haywire again, and all of this may be taken away. So that's why I've told my friends, I said, I'm going to write as many books as I can for as long as I
Mhm.
can, because I have lots of stories floating around in my head, and I'm going to write them. And my husband kind of looks at me like, "Are you selling any books?"
You're like, shh, no.
Yeah, I sell some. Shh.
Yes.
And he's like, "Well, okay, all right. See if you can
Yes.
sell more." I said, "All right, I will work on that." So, I keep telling them if I get a backlist, and I'm trying to
Yes.
do more live events, because I find live events to be incredibly gratifying. I've
Hmm.
done several. I have one coming up next month, another one coming up in September, and one in October. I find it great way to meet your readers,
Yes.
because there's a ton of people out there who don't hang out on social media, and they don't know that you're writing because they go to
Yeah.
the bookstore, buy
Yeah.
books.
And I think that's so true about like the longevity and developing that backlist because very few authors hit it off with that first book.
Right.
In like the whole scheme of things. And so then like finally like you find your audience like 6 books in and that person
Yeah.
reads that sixth book and they're like, I have to go back and read everything else. I mean, I do that with authors. I found somebody and I'm like, oh, wait, there's 6 other books by this person. Like, and I go myself to the store and I buy them. And
Yes.
that's so important. I don't think a lot of people outside of the writing community necessarily realize that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, there are lots of things going on. I mean, I have a child with special needs, so we have to juggle her. I
Hmm.
mean, she's 20 now, but we still have to kind of manage her.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of little plates kind of half spinning or spinning really fast, and
Yeah.
like they're going to fly off or what have you. And my son's getting ready to go to law school, so
Oh,
you know
wow.
he's he's kind of on his way out of our door. He said he can't wait to get away. I can't wait to live on my own again. He was living in an apartment while he was at college, and he's been
Hmm.
home with us for a year, and he's like, oh, yeah, I need to go back. I need to get back out.
Oh, that's so
So
great for him though. Do you use any like do you leave post-it notes for yourself all over the place or like do you just write down like do you use a calendar app or like how do you kind of like keep track of all the things that you have to do? Or do you just let it
yeah,
fly out in the wind?
I have notebooks. I have lots of
Okay.
notebooks that I write I mean, I write down notes, I write down, story ideas, I write down things
Hmm.
I need to do and go and check them off. I put some of it on my calendar, but my husband uses his calendar efficiently, which is, he if it doesn't get done, it moves down on the calendar or moves over to
Okay.
another day. I look at my calendar and I just kind of ignore it. I didn't get it done. I'll just do it when I get a chance. So I learned that having it on the calendar doesn't help me. Having it on a list does.
Hmm.
And I'm one of those people, I tend to run ahead of deadlines because I
Oh,
don't
that's
like
good.
people. Well, I like to run ahead of deadlines, let's put it
Yeah.
that way, because I don't like people. I don't like when somebody sends me a note saying that they need something that I said I was going to give them. It bugs me. I don't want you
Yeah.
to come. I want it to be in your mailbox and you just say thank you.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
I don't know. That's a weird thing about me. So um, I try to keep up with things that way. Interesting thing, the first three books I wrote pretty much on my own schedule. I mean, the first one, I wrote Homecoming Chaos first. And
Hmm.
since I was, half I was ill and then waiting to be on dialysis and stuff. There was no deadline. There was no, hey, I want to publish this by such and such
Right.
time. It's just kind of I'll write a couple hours a day or I won't or what have you. Um, the other ones, I mean, I put more of a deadline on um, dating chaos, but it wasn't anybody else who imposed the deadline on me. It was me. I said, all right, I want to publish this in August. So
Yeah.
let's just get it done. And I had all the files in KDP like a month ahead of time because I was well, I didn't want to get too close to the time. I didn't want, you know,
That's its own
Amazon saying,
anxiety. Yeah.
yeah, Amazon saying, hey, you put pre-orders and you didn't put anything in or whatever. So I didn't want
Yeah.
to get in trouble with Amazon. So I was way ahead. This time I actually had a deadline because the editor I worked with gave
Hmm.
me like deadlines. And so that was new for me. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
How did
okay.
that work? Did it work for you?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
We did get hit with her catching COVID, so
Oh,
some of the deadlines flew out the window.
yeah.
But yeah, it worked. I have all the files in now, and my so it doesn't launch until the 23rd, so I'm still ahead. I'm still
You
ahead
are.
of this.
You are. That's my philosophy is if you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're
Yeah,
left. And if you're like early, you're on time. Like that's
yeah.
always been my philosophy of life. So
Yeah, yeah. So I,
totally makes
I just
sense to
want to,
me.
yeah, like that's one thing I can check off that ever
Yep.
growing list is that okay, these things are in, and if anything, comes up, if somebody going out to ARC readers today, so if something comes up and they're like, this really is bad, I have a chance,
Yeah.
small chance to fix it, but I don't expect anything like that. Oh,
This is like,
um,
I mean, not to say that it's like easy at this point, but you know what to expect. Like you've gone through kind of like your bumps in the road. So now it's pretty
yeah.
smooth sailing.
Yeah, yeah. So I said I just gotta get my social media line. I know I can't schedule more than 2 weeks ahead, so I'm still going to have to go back in while we're on our trip. But I
Hmm.
want the actual slides to be done, the
Yes.
images to be done, so I can just kind of
Just
put them
post real
in, take an
fast.
hour and
Yeah.
a half, just put them in, and let it go on its own.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, that's awesome. That is awesome. So I was reading a little bit about your novels, and they seem to have a bit of everything. They have murder, mayhem, romance, complex and lovable characters. So, what was your personal favorite aspect of the chaos novels to write and bring to life? Like, were you just like, this is what I love?
I I I mean, when I first started writing it, I was loving the conversations and the
Mhm.
snarky conversations of all the different family members amongst each other because it kind of felt like home.
Yeah.
And I like snarky conversations. My characters will always have snarky conversations. They're all kind of smart asses. That's just who they are. And there will always be at least one doctor in the story, at least one, if not more. So
Mhm.
I write what I know.
That is
So
absolutely brilliant. I love
yeah.
banter. When I read a book that has good banter and good dialogue in it, I just
Mhm.
like time slips away and I am transported. That is one of my favorite things to read in a book.
Yeah. So that, I mean, I want to write a full-on mystery at some point because, like I said, I read Nancy Drew and Agatha Christie and, you know, what's the Perry Mason guy?
Well, I don't know his real name. I only know Perry Mason.
Yeah, Errol Stanley Gardner. That's him.
Okay.
Yeah, and Sherlock Holmes, on and on.
Hmm.
All of the Jane Patterson books, I sit there and read them as
Yeah.
well. I have a couple of them that I've purchased to take with me on my flight,
Nice.
because I haven't been able to read as much since I started writing. You're supposed to read, you're supposed to read more, and
But you run out of
but
time.
yeah, you're sitting here writing and you're looking for artwork and you're
Hmm.
you're communicating with other people, you're communicating with your readers, you're communicating with fellow writers. You're trying to build your following on,
Yes.
and there's just not any time to really sit down and read like you want.
Mm-mm.
So I I've planned. I have a plan because I have three Kennedy Ryan books and two James Patterson and
That's
probably
beautiful.
200 on my Kindle.
Yes.
So I will have plenty to read, and I probably will start writing part of the time while I'm there, while I'm gone too.
Yeah.
So
No, that sounds
it'll be fun.
phenomenal. That sounds like a beautiful vacation. Beautiful. Beautiful. Um, One of the pieces of praise that I specifically saw for your writing was your ability to build suspense and tension. So, do you have any tips for our audience on how they could work on improving that aspect of their own writing?
Yeah, I always found that an interesting compliment for me because I actually feel like that's something that I need to continue to work on.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, I, yeah, I, I mean, I've seen that people have said that. I
Hmm.
still think that I have a way to go to do it like I like to do it. Um, you know, I, as I say, I don't even know how to give people tips on that because I just don't feel I don't I don't necessarily I mean I appreciate that, but
Yeah.
I don't know
Do
if
you
I
like
necessarily
could you
fully
tell us
agree.
like do you know what your process is and how you bring those things out, like what you look for or try to do?
Well, I since I know where I'm going, or
Hmm.
I know where I want the story to end up, and I pick certain places where I want to drop some breadcrumbs, or
Okay.
I want to drop some breadcrumbs. I want to drop some breadcrumbs here. I want to drop some breadcrumbs here. I want to drop a big loaf of bread there, just kind of a huge
Yes.
there. Um, and I also have my editors also help me with that.
Hmm.
That well, you're giving too much away. Take that bread, take that loaf back up. Don't put that
Yeah.
down there now.
And that is a really good
So
way to like have other people tell you like this is too much or wait, we need a little
yeah,
bit more because we get we know in our heads.
yeah.
So sometimes we can't see what we're doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like when we're talking about editing, because
Hmm.
you know what the story's supposed to say,
Yes.
and you like word blindness. You think that word is in there, you think that
Yep.
sentence is there because you know what it's supposed to say. But when you're reviewing it, you've left out a huge chunk, but your brain's like, oh, that's great, it's in there.
Yeah.
And somebody else reads and goes, oh man, I don't know,
Yeah.
how did you get from there to there?
Yeah. That makes no
So
sense to me. Yeah.
yeah. So the same thing with suspense. You want to suspense mysteries. You want to, at least for me, because I know some people like having unreliable. I mean, some stories have unreliable narrators and things like that. So you may be able to solve it while you're reading it, but sometimes they don't set it up that way.
Right.
Uh, so I want you to be able to solve it. And that was something in Homecoming Chaos that I think I would revisit if I was writing when I write a new mysteries, that maybe I may have put a little bit too much um of the background in,
Hmm.
and you kind of knew you knew who committed the crime fairly
Okay.
early on, which is fine. I knew wanted to do it that way because it's two different stories at that point. There's a crime and then there's the lead character. So
Right.
I wanted you to know that, okay, this person's a bad person, and how they ended up meeting each other, because obviously they have to meet at some point. And just everybody's kind of coming at it from a slightly different angle. So all the pieces together kind of get you to the climax. But
Yeah.
so, there are a lot of different ways to do it. But like I said, I
Oh, yeah.
appreciate that. But I want to write mysteries where people are kind of scratching their heads like, oh, I don't know who did this. So that's on the agenda as well.
Oh, I love that. I think it's really interesting. Sometimes we get compliments on our writing, and we're like, really? Because I don't think so. I don't agree with you. I'm not so sure I do that well. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and I just feel like
Yeah, that
people
was
can
kind of
sometimes
me.
see us more clearly than we're able to see ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of that for
Hmm.
me because especially when I wrote the first book, because I said I didn't, I wrote when I was 8, then
Yeah.
started writing again in my 40s. So it's like, there are lots of people out here who've been writing things for years and working their way up, right? So a little bit of imposter syndrome, like I'm just jumping in here and writing
Yeah.
something. Am I supposed to be really doing this? So it's a little hard to to accept that sometimes. Like, okay, because my editor told me, she said, I really love Late Match and I really appreciate. She said, I'm really proud of you for writing this story.
Mm.
And I look at it and I go, I mean, I love the story, but it's like,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, I love the story, but I was like, are you fluffing me up? Are you just buttering me up here?
Right. Yeah, no, I do the same thing. I'm like, you're just saying that because you don't want me to feel bad. And they're
Yeah,
like, no, no,
yeah,
really. I'm like, I don't know. So I definitely feel
yeah.
that. Yeah. So speaking of Late Match, it comes out on June 23rd. So mark that date down on your calendar, Scribblers. It is a dual POV second chance romance, which is a trope I personally love. It's one of my favorites with second chance stuff. So can you tell us a little bit about your inspiration for the story and what we as readers have to look forward to?
Um, my inspiration tangentially was uh the match. And I'll give you a little thing because I actually ran a few little questions with friends of mine saying, do you actually know what the match is for medical school? And if you didn't really have medical friends, you probably didn't really know what it was. But that's
Yeah, I have
how,
no idea what it
um,
is.
yeah, that's how fourth year medical students find out where they're doing their residency, find out what specialty they're going into. So generally during your fourth year, I mean, you spend the first 3 years in medical school, first two are mostly book learning. You start doing more clinical stuff. And then third year, you're doing all these different rotations and you're trying to figure out what it is that you might want to do with your medical career. I mean, a lot of people come in with an idea, but once you actually get a chance to do it or be around it, you kind of make that decision. And so
Mhm.
you spend, while you're doing rotations during your fourth year, you spend time looking up programs, different residency programs, sending them all your information, your interviews. I mean, your
That sounds
interviews, your
brutal.
test scores, yeah, your grades, just everything. And they look at it and say, we'd like to interview you. And so you go to interviews and then I don't remember when you send it in, maybe in December, but
Mhm.
basically you make a ranked list of places that you want to go or that you liked doing and that you'd want to go to finish
Okay.
your 3 to 10 year residency, depending on what you go into. And they basically make a rank list as well. Like, okay, we saw these people. These are the people that we want to come to our program. It gets tossed into a computer algorithm and they spit out where you're going.
This is
Um,
wild. Like I am fascinated by this.
yeah, so um, it's obviously changed a little bit over
Hmm.
time, but that's still the basic idea. So if you have a significant other in medical school with you, you have to do it together. It's called a couples match. So you have to work with each other to interview at places that are in the same city or same hospital so you can remain together. And
Wow.
y'all they make their rank list with them, and that gets tossed into the computer. And majority of the time it spits out a way to keep them together,
Hmm.
but not always. So sometimes, one person ends up in one place, one person ends up in
Yeah,
another place. We had that happen when I was in medical school a long time ago to one couple. They managed to fix it pretty quickly. They're married
that's
and
good.
have grown up kids and stuff like that. But I remember the stress of how that went down. And when she figured out she didn't match with him at the same, I mean, she matched, just not in the same place. And I remember how that went down. So I decided to write about, not them, but
Right,
I
right.
decided to write about that. A couple that met in medical school, got engaged. He had a tough place that he wanted to go because he wanted to do neurosurgery. Neurosurgery is
Hmm.
hard to get into. And she wanted to do pediatrics, a little easier to get into. So they figured this would be a slam dunk. Didn't match. So together. So they didn't survive the 1 year separation because they managed to find a spot for her in the same place the next year. But they didn't survive the year apart.
Oh, wow.
And so they broke up and they didn't talk to each other for 15 years. And then they meet each other, they run into each other again 15 years later. So, and so there they are,
That's
15 years later.
that's really sad, but also really amazing. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. So, and they both have exes. They both had
Yeah.
gotten married and divorced, and I have meddling exes because their exes are like they really should have never broken up, and so everybody's trying to get them back together.
I love that. I feel like you need to just like market your books. Like you need to visit like every hospital in the country and just be like, hello, I have this novel that probably will relate to someone's experience. You should read this. And every single healthcare provider would just be like, yes, I'm reading this right now. Um, because I have never heard of that system. I mean, obviously, I have no medical background whatsoever aside from like how to put a band-aid on.
Yeah,
But wow, like that is
yeah. See, I had, I was single when I
mm,
finished I was doing ophthalmology, which was which was one of the more complicated residency spots to get. So I actually was like, well, my stress was hoping I would actually get a spot. It didn't
yeah,
matter to me where I went because it was just me.
right.
And
Yeah,
I
just as
could
long as
live
I get one.
anywhere. Yeah, as long as I get one. But, if I had been in a relationship, I think I might have melted down. Just like, what? What if we don't match? So
Yeah, no, I
it's
can't imagine that. I mean, like I have friends who are married and like one of them will get a job somewhere else and then they have to just completely decide how they're going to deal with that because
right.
one person's like maybe moving up in their job and the other person now what are they going to do? And it's
Right.
it's it's a tough time. So
Yeah.
doing that
Yeah.
on
So
top of like being in college when you kind of know what you're doing, but also you don't know what you're doing. Wow.
right. And your internship, residency
Mm,
is tough.
yeah.
Especially your internship year because you're doing all the stuff.
Yes.
You're seeing all the extra patients and you're running it for labs and you don't really get to get on the phone and sit, hang out and chat with your loved ones. You can't just fly away for the weekend because you're probably on call.
Yeah.
and and so it's a tough. That's probably why they try to make sure everybody matches. But obviously, like I said, everybody doesn't. I think it's 20,
Yeah.
30% don't match in the couples match.
I don't
And
like
I so you can,
I want a job doing this. Like I would like to join this system. Like I just want to be somebody who sits in there and like moves people around and figures out where they're going. So if you're
well, they have a
hiring
computer
match
to do that.
system,
They have a computer to do that. See, the computer, even back then, the computer, it's an algorithm. I don't know how
yeah.
I still don't know how they do it, but it
Somebody
just,
wrote it. Somebody wrote that
yeah,
programming and
just,
it's amazing. Oh my gosh.
so
Wow.
that's my book.
Yeah, like I'm even more excited about this now. I think this might be the one, this might be the first DW Brooks book that I read, and then I'll just keep getting all the other backlist ones. Um, so what would you say is your biggest area of writer growth between your first book and Late Match? Like how has your creativity and writing process evolved?
I I find it. Uh, I think I am trying because I started out as a true fly by my pants. I'm a pantser, you know, just I'm sitting there
Same.
writing, and I still do that, but I am trying to write down more things. Like for the next book in this series, I have a 2-page treatment already written. Like, all
Nice.
right, this is what I'm going to do. These are all the different steps. This is why, which I've never done before. So I'm trying to embrace the pantsterism
Mhm.
of me, but also be a little more organized because I think that might help me write write more because
Yeah.
I had a big goal. I had a big goal for this year. I said I was going to put out 5 books. I don't know why I thought that. Don't know why I thought that. I mean, I have 3 half books
Okay.
already sitting around. So I thought that I was going to be able to get them all done and add a nice little Christmas book, blah, blah, blah. No, this is my first book published this year. so, so,
You got 6 months. That's like a book a month.
uh,
Don't push
yeah,
yourself. Don't push
yeah,
yourself.
no, I mean, no,
We will wait.
yeah, but I'm trying to embrace both sides of it. Just be a
Hmm.
little more organized, just so I can not get hung up in one book. And I'm also trying to just write it and not trying to correct what I know is wrong that I'm writing. Like, I know
Yeah.
that's not the right thing. I know that's incorrect, but I just need to get through the ideas. And also, I'm writing
Right.
other scenes. If a scene comes to me and I'm just like, well, that's like 100 pages down in the book, I know he's going to write it.
Yeah, just
It's
get
like
it
that.
out there. That way it's not
Yeah,
in your brain getting everything else confused.
yeah,
Yeah.
interfering.
Yeah. No, I do the same thing. Like I started out just very much like I'm just gonna write a story and I just type that thing out. And now I do detailed like, okay, this is my outline and this is what I want to do. And I make, those like those treatments like you were talking about of these are the things that have to be included. These are like the maybes, the negotiables, and it's
Yeah.
been so helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I have one writer friend who is so amazingly organized. I mean, she has
Me too.
outlines for series of books ahead of where she currently is. And I just look at her and think, I really wish I could do that. And maybe I could. Maybe I should
Yeah.
try. But yeah, she's got like series planned out ahead. And it's cool to watch her work with that because she's very, very organized and gets the
Hmm.
stories out in organized fashion. So
Yeah.
I think that would help with the spinning plates if I
Possibly, yeah. It's always
had some
fascinating to
organization.
me just to see all the different ways that people manage the whole writing thing. So, like, I feel our methods are a little bit similar. Like, we used to just kind of like dive in, and now we're
Yeah.
trying to bring in more of those organizational pieces. And then you have other people who are like making spreadsheets that are easily searchable for
Yeah.
keywords and,
Yeah.
have like 30 books planned out. Um,
Yeah.
and it's always I just always find it really interesting how everybody's got their own method, but we all arrive at these beautiful manuscripts somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. We all get there.
Yeah,
It's just different ways. It's like
yeah,
being on the street. There are different routes to the
yes,
same spot, different streets we're going down. We may
yeah,
cross each other at some point, meet at the intersection, wave, and keep going.
exactly, yeah. And I love hearing other people's methods because I always end up taking something away from that. And so like
Yeah.
I like to just talk about like I have a Frankenstein method of writing because I pulled from this person and I pulled from this one and I sewed it together to make it work for me. I just think that's so important to just realize you can do what works for you and you don't have to do what works for somebody else.
Right. Right. Well, because probably the way they do it, because their mind works differently. Their
Exactly.
lives are different. You may not be able to do things that way because you have other responsibilities or
Hmm.
other things that you have to incorporate into your life, and you can't do it quite that way. So
Exactly.
it's interesting. I don't know. It's like I said, I'm having a really good time with it,
Yeah.
even when, imposter syndrome's nibbling in your ear saying, that looks nobody's going to read that. They're all going to
I'm
frown
gonna
at you.
read
Thank you. Yeah, it's
it. Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy.
It really
So
is. It is. But so what is your number one piece of writing advice for all of the writers that are tuning in? Like what's the message that you want to tell them about this craft and about this journey?
I don't stop writing. That's the biggest thing I regret is the big gap of time where I didn't write anything creative at all. And because I look back at it, even if I wasn't trying to do it full time or trying to write a book, even if I was just writing short stories or something other, I think I could be further along in my journey now that I'm actually going for it now.
Hmm.
And I probably would be a better writer. I mean, I would be a better writer. So,
More
um,
practice? Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
more practice. I mean, I'm doing it now, which is fine. It's not too late.
Hmm.
But I look back at it and say, yeah, I could have, when you figure out something that you've been doing wrong,
Yeah.
I could have knocked that out, 20 years ago and not be doing that now.
Yes.
So, so yeah, but it's fine. But that's my biggest thing is, I mean, even if you're not necessarily, even if you don't plan to publish it,
Hmm.
if you want to write, you can, there are plenty of online places you can write
Oh yeah.
where you don't even have to turn in. You can write just on your computer and read it yourself, hand it out to
Hmm.
your friends. Um, so you just keep writing and you may get hit by something and say, okay, I think I want to try to publish it. But it's nothing wrong with you'll still be a writer, even if you write just for
Exactly.
you.
Yeah, there's no like overall like there's not publishing doesn't make you a writer, just putting a pen to a page or fingers on the
Right,
keyboard. That's what makes you a writer is you just have to do it. So yeah, no,
right.
that's great advice. That is great advice. Don't stop, guys. Keep going. Write your books so that we can read them. I could have you, whoever you are out in the audience, I could have you being interviewed one day, and that would make my heart very happy. So do it. Um, okay, so now we get to the part of the interview where I ask you the four most important questions in the world. So your
I have them
first
in front of
question,
me right now.
the what?
I have them in front of
Okay,
me.
good, good, good.
I have them in front of me. I'm
Excellent.
ready.
So you mentioned that you sporadically cook. Do you have a signature dish?
Yes, it's my macaroni. Well, it's macaroni and cheese.
Yes.
I was
Okay.
gonna say mine. It's not mine. I will not lie. I got the recipe from Emerald. How am I about to mispronounce his name? From
It,
Emerald,
yeah,
the
I know who you're
dude
talking
from
about.
Louis. Yeah,
The
I
chef
got the
guy.
recipe from. Yeah, I got the recipe from him. He uses four cheeses and just it's just like
Yeah.
it's rich. I mean, there's a roux and just
Oh,
it's so
now I
I
want mac and cheese.
my
So thank you. Thank you.
yes, yeah, I'm sorry. So it's something that my family requests that I make on every holiday, whenever my son comes to visit, whenever I go to visit him at his apartment, I'm sitting there trying to make macaroni and cheese
Yeah.
and whatever pots and pans he does have there.
That is
And
excellent. That is
I have to double or triple the recipe so I can leave some with him. So so he can have some and he won't let his roommates eat any of it. He just basically scarfs it down himself.
smart man. Smart man. I would
Yeah.
do that too. Like if I had some like when my mom would make stuff and bring it down to me when I was in school, I'd be like, yeah, that's mine. If you guys touch it, like there will be hell to pay.
Oh
So
yeah, no, my that was my grandmother's tea cakes, basically sugar
oh,
cookies.
yeah.
She had started actually making of, wrapping some up to give to my other people because
Hmm.
she would make them for me and I would like have to fight for my life to actually get some of my own.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, oh, these are good. And it's like, hey, my grandmother baked these for me, not for you.
Oh,
So
got
she
to
would
defend the
give
good
them
stuff.
some. Yeah, she would give some. That
Yeah.
that unfortunately has happened to me in the past. Quick aside story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Um, when I was a resident, I did I don't remember, I think it was glaucoma surgery on a patient. Her daughter was a cake maker. So she actually, we have the brochures that have the profile of an eye on it. So she
Mhm.
actually took one of those brochures home and baked me a cake in the shape of an eyeball
That is
and
amazing.
decorated it. Yeah, she decorated it and everything.
Yes.
And it's like, so she was a cake maker, like she made wedding cakes. So one half of it was strawberry something or other, and the other half was chocolate. And so she
That
brings
sounds
it up to the clinic. She,
delightful.
oh, she
Yeah.
brought it up to the clinic, and guess who ate most of it? Ear, nose, and throat people. They actually saw the eyeball. They saw an eyeball. They're ear doctors. They
And
saw
they're
the
like, that's
eyeball.
clearly for me.
Yes. And so they started eating my cake. And so when I got there, it was just enough for me to have some on both sides. But
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm so glad that you got that
yes.
cake.
Oh,
Did you
I
get
did
to
too.
see it like before people dug into it? Like you got to see like the
Yes.
actual okay,
I
all
actually
right.
have pictures of it. I actually have
Okay.
pictures of it. I don't even know why the nurse manager had her camera. I mean, this was back before we had phones with cameras
Right?
on them. Yeah, she had her camera. She took pictures for me. So I still have the pictures, but I only got two pieces of cake.
That's very
I'm
sad.
like this. I like yelled at them, like, look, it's an eyeball. I wouldn't go in there and start eating your ear. Start eating your ear cake. Why are you eating my eyeball cake? No, it was not for you. It had my name on it. What are you doing? So they all were like, we're sorry, we saw it. It tasted really good. Okay.
That's amazing. All right. Question number two. What is your favorite romance trope?
It varies depending on what book I'm writing.
Okay.
Right now it's second chance. I'm on the second chance. I mean, I was on enemies to lovers
Yeah.
when I started with Homecoming Chaos. And now I'm on second chance, and the next book I have to kind of think about it. I know what the story is going to be. I'm going to switch again.
Okay. No, I
So, but
love
right,
Second Chance. So right up there. I think my favorite is just like that stereotypical like one bed trope. Like they end up
yeah,
getting stuck somewhere and there's just one bed. And I'm like, yes, like
yeah.
my brain fires off with little fireworks whenever that happens. So
Yeah, no, I'm forced proximity is a
yes.
big part of this as well. So I'm loving that as well. You don't have any choice; they have to hang out with each other. It's
Yes.
like,
It's like I'm just gonna make you guys see how perfect you would be together.
yes.
Romance tropes are just so much fun. I love them. Okay, question number three. What fast food restaurant makes the best French fry? And there's only one correct answer, so this is like make or break for you. I know, right?
Yeah, let's see. It's unfortunate. Um, probably 5 years ago, I would have yelled out McDonald's as fast as I could,
Yeah,
but McDonald's has their fries are not what they used to be. I just am so disappointed in them because that used to be the whole reason to go to McDonald's to get their fries.
yeah,
They're just so good. Um, and now I'm kind of experimenting with different fries because at one point I had moved on to Smash Burger because
okay.
they have rosemary. I mean, they have rosemary fries,
Yes.
and they were really good, but they don't put as much rosemary salt on there like they used to. So now, I mean, I buy them and my son will say, "Are these the same fries?" It's like, well, yes, they are. So I'm just disappointed because I don't really, for me, I don't think there are that many good fries like there used to be.
It is
I'm
really hard, especially like a fast food chain to find good
Yes, because
fries.
I also don't go to that many fast food chains.
Yeah.
Those are the two main ones. I mean, where did I just go? Um, BJ's has good fries. BJ's Brew House, you know what they call it? Yeah, they have good fries. Where did I just take my daughter? Because they have good fries as well.
I don't know.
I went to Toasted Yolk. They had good fries
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
But I just tell me the fast food place. The one right answer.
The one right answer is Arby's curly fries. Really? Oh, really? Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, like that's, I mean, that's
Oh,
my one right answer. It's not actually
yeah.
any
No,
right
I know. I'm
answer,
just saying. I just want to
but
hear what you had to say. No, I don't.
yeah, no, that's
I
fair. That's fair.
yeah, yeah. It's I don't. One, I don't. I mean, I haven't been to Arby's in a long time, so let's caveat that it's been a while since
Yeah.
I've had a curly fry from Arby's. But I usually didn't get the fries when I went to Arby's.
Yeah. I liked them because like they had that special seasoning on it and it's
Well,
not
that's
just
always important.
yeah. So it's got like that. And it was like, especially got a fry that was like chunked in it. It was really good. So
Oh yeah, no, that is important.
yes, the
That's
seasoning.
important. Yeah, I mean, we've come to the realization that like
Hmm.
Canes has good fries like right when they come out. My son is
Yes.
like, next time y'all go to Canes, y'all need to come get me and take me with you because
You
the
have to eat them
fries don't taste
immediately.
good. Yeah, the fries don't taste good once you get them home. But yeah, Canes has good fries
Yes.
immediately. So McDonald's is just slipped. That
I
their
feel like
fries
I feel
used to
like
be
McDonald's
amazing.
is mostly childhood nostalgia because you go as a kid
Maybe.
and you're like, "Oh my God, I got this entire like box of Happy Meal food and I'm so happy." And then as you get
And a
to be an
toy.
adult, yeah, and you get to be an
And a
adult, you're
toy.
like, "Oh, why did I ever think this was good?" So, yeah.
Yeah, because I used to always get the cheeseburger, some
Hmm.
fries, and a chocolate shake. I used to think
Yep.
their chocolate shakes were amazing.
Yeah.
And now it's like,
Yeah. I was their chicken nuggets. Like I was a chicken nugget fiend. That's all I wanted. So, and not anymore. I'm
yeah,
like, no, I don't even
yeah,
go to McDonald's. Like I just drive right past it.
yeah.
Never.
I think I went a couple times last year, mainly because I was if you're under the gun and it's the
Yeah.
closest place and you have to grab something.
Yeah. You do what you got
But
to do.
I haven't gone at all this year.
Yeah.
And
You
you
don't sound
drive by it and you
regretful
think,
about that.
yeah, well, you drive by it and like you said, it's childhood nostalgia. Like,
Yeah.
that was good times.
Yeah. But you just gotta let it ride because if you try to go back and be like, I want to feel that feeling again, you're not going to.
Yeah, yeah, it's not the same. I mean,
Yeah.
my husband's kind of like that about Burger King, which I
Hmm.
was never a fan of. So I refuse to eat there.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'll go there. It's like, you can. You don't, he said, you don't even want me to get your
Have
burger? I
fun.
said, no.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not
good.
eating there.
Yeah.
Well, all these people are going to come after us for disparaging their restaurants.
Eh, I don't know. Maybe I'll come sue me, I guess. Take my non-existent money. That'd be great. Um,
Well, it'll give you some exposure and people will come and buy your
yes.
books.
Yeah, there's no bad press, right? So
Right,
you can
right.
all right. So you already kind of mentioned some of the books that you're taking with you on vacation. So if you want to talk about one of those, cool. But also, just in general, what are you reading right now, and what should we all add to our TBR pile?
Oh my gosh, there's so many books. There's so many books out there now. I have I'm in a group of I'm Instagram group with a bunch of other writers. We're all kind of at the same point in well, we all are in different parts of our journey, but most of us have written several books. Most of us are all indies and we're all kind of still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But, several of them have written amazing romance stories. I have a friend, Varsha um, Chitness. She has written two in the Dallas Connection series. Her third book comes out. What's today? Comes out tomorrow.
Oh wow. Okay.
I mean, it's actually her fourth book, but it's the third book in the series, and it's called The X Factor.
Hmm.
And it comes out tomorrow. Um, I have another friend, Poppy Fitzgerald. She has a this Birch Falls series. She has two books already out. Third book comes out in August called
Okay.
Duress. Um, they're all romantic suspense novels. Um, Another friend, Jessica, I'm not going to pronounce her last name because I probably will pronounce it incorrectly. But she has a series of three. They're all romantic suspense, psychological suspense novels.
Okay.
Um, The Mankineal, The Mysteries of the Southern Gothic, Chosen Daughters.
Beautiful.
I'm impressed that I remembered all three of
Yeah,
them.
you're doing
Yes.
great. This is like a quiz, and you're just popping these names and these book titles
Yeah.
out. So well done.
Yeah. I have another friend, Lena. Uh-oh. Why am I blanking on her last name? Shame on me. Lena James. Um, and she is releasing her third book in her Fort Bender series. Third book is called Always Will. First one was Some Kind of Forever. Second book was Sunshine with You. And then
Okay.
third one is Always Will. That comes out in August. And then
These all sound like really good,
those,
like summer, like back porch beach reads. Like you can just sit
they are.
down, immerse yourself, and have like a good time.
Yeah, they all are. They all are. And I've read some of all of them, but I haven't even read all of them. They're all
Yeah.
in my Kindle waiting for me to
Yes.
carve out some time to sit and read. But yeah, there are plenty more. A guy in our group named Ben Twig
Mhm.
has one called Dad Magic. It's a fantasy
Okay.
book. So there's lots, there are lots of folks in that group. I
Yeah.
should have made a slide and just just
So
started
many,
flashing through
so
all.
many.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
that's a
we're
great list for, people. They can just kind of like Google some names and find those and add them, and that's great. So yeah. Um, well, that's all the questions that I have for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. You can find all of DW's links to her webpage down below. So make sure you check it out. You can order books, find her on social media or events that she'll be coming to maybe in your area. So again, just thank you so much for joining the Scribblers Den interview alum. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, super fun. I'm anxious to get my copy of Late Match, so I have to wait 2 more weeks, but
Oh, it
that's
is two
okay.
more weeks.
It is 2 more weeks. Yeah, that's okay because I yeah.
Yeah.
I just started a new book yesterday and I've got a couple other ones to read. So I'll be ready for it when it comes out on the 20th.
Yes. Well,
Um,
I have a plan for me reading my books. I mean, I have my list of books I'm taking with me. So
yes.
I'll be ready to just kind of fangirl on that day. Like, thank you for reading my books. And we are doing arcs. So they go out today.
Woo! All right. So,
More stuff.
Scribblers, you know the drill. I need you to hit that like button. I need you to hit the subscribe button, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.